start. Are you doing a prelude? Oh, okay.
Good morning. My name is Janet McFarland. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. We are glad that you are here with us on this lovely Mother's Day morning at First Unitarian of Oakland. We are committed to becoming a community where everyone is welcome and differences are celebrated. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. If you are new here, we invite you to fill out a Visitor Connect card, which you might find nearby you. You can use the QR code or link on the First Unitarian website, or you can leave us your contact information on your way out at the greeters table in the foyer, or join us in Venti Hall after the service for coffee, and there's a newcomer welcome table there. Doing this helps us to help you explore what this congregation offers and how you might become active within it. And also, I hope all of you who are members received the e-blast about our special congregational meeting on June 1st. We will be voting on new board members. We will be voting to revise our bylaws. We need everyone who's able to get here to come, so we can at least have a quorum to do business. And we will be following it with a celebration of some of the year's successes, presentation of the budget for the coming year, and a lovely lunch. So please try to be here. And now our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land and the ancestral people of this land, the Lishan Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes are occupying their ancestral lands called Hushun. We acknowledge that the lands were colonized and settled while the Ohlone people lived here. For millennia, they have had an ancestral relationship with the land, the plants, the animals, and the water, continuous to the present day. Ohlone people are still here. We also recognize that the spirits of the Ohlone ancestors are here. Stealing land is a European concept, not an indigenous land, as is owning land is a European concept. We understand that we are not the ones who first settled on Ohlone land and displaced those people and destroyed their life, but we benefit from that theft and dispossession. One of the ways we can help right this wrong is by promoting the Shumi land tax, which gives money to the Sigoriate Land Trust to buy back some of their land. We encourage you to learn more about the Confederated Villages of the Lishon Ohlone people, and there's a website there where you can look up, you can volunteer to help in the garden, and you can get to know our Ohlone neighbors.
Thank you, Janet. So I'd like to invite up Savannah Landau, who is an organizer for the committee in support of, in solidarity with the people of El Salvador. So you and your organization were what we call our half-plate recipient for the month of April. So I have a check here for you for $955.38. So we've been building a relationship with you. Here is some energy in the form of money. And so if you want to just say a couple of words about how the money can help support your mission.
Yes, absolutely. I will keep this brief, but thank you, Reverend Laurel. Thank you all who supported, or if you just discovered us, that is still such a beautiful connection to make. Our chapter of the Committee in Solidarity with the People of El Salvador have been organizing for the last 6 years, and most significantly 3, but for a lot of the average American, maybe you're noticing El Salvador's situation because of the agreement with President Trump against the regime in El Salvador, and mobilizing to accompany the people's resistance against this regime and for a popular democracy. Our local chapter has an office in the mission, and of course that every office has to pay its dues. We've also recruited more new members, young Salvadorans especially, and many who are also vulnerable due to their insecure status being here, who are still finding the bravery to organize with us and speak out against Nayib Bukele's regime. This helps us in maintaining that space and creating more materials so that we could prepare, contacting our representatives and senators, preparing for demonstrations in the near future. And another important part that this money goes to is a percentage of it goes to the popular movement directly, where we provide grants to organizations and collectives who are actively working on the ground and putting their lives on the line to fight this regime. So thank you all again so much.
Thank you, Savannah.
We will start our worship service today with our chalice lighting. And if you will join me in saying the words and doing the hand motions as well as you know them. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May they remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. Thank you. For the Peace and Black Lives Matter candles, I'm going to read you a poem by Lauren Maeno. Lauren has dedicated her life to community well-being and social justice, and she is the mother of a proudly non-binary BIPOC adult, and she is also my lifelong friend. She said recently that since the election, she has struggled to find her voice. But knowing that silence is not an option, she wrote this poem for Mother's Day. You could switch the slide if you like. The world I want for you. I wish for a world where any child can grow butterfly wings and fly, and anyone can be a princess or an athlete or anything that calls, where no one is pushed into boxes or cages or force-fed scripts to live by, and you are free to write your own lines, where anyone can read a book and know they belong, and no one needs to be told you are human, because this is assumed, where you don't have to watch your back because there's no target on it, where governments are here to serve, not snatch away those you love, where children look up and see blue sky, not smoke and bombs, where the news is not a horror show, but a celebration, where God is love, not a weapon, where the planet that's home is tended with love, and I can rest when my time comes, trusting that you can live on. And together we say, peace is possible and Black Lives Matter. Today, Mother's Day, we honor mothers, be they male, female, non-binary, non-gendered, biological, adopted, metaphorical, or mythical. Because of course, to mother is not connected with any of those states. To mother is to care for, to love, to nurture, and to let go when the time comes, be it a child, an idea, or a church. We are all mothers. Together we say, come, let us worship together.
Would you please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit. Well, on this Mother's Day, I wonder if you would go ahead and stay seated today, but think for a moment about someone who mothered you. It could be your biological mother, it could be someone completely different, and or who have you mothered in your life? So I'll ring a bell, take a moment to think, turn to your neighbor, share your thoughts, then I'll ring the bell again, and we'll stop and sing it again together. So I'll ring a bell, think of who you mothered or who has mothered you. Who's mothered you?
My friend Barb Goldrum.
Boy, that was such a beautiful poem. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, Lauren is the reason my mother donated to Space all that time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I love that.
She was married to a Salvadoran man who was killed going back to visit his mother. He's the father of this son.
Of the non-binary BIPOC. Wow. I love it. I really love it. So I see Jimmy and Sharon are here today. Yay! You know, Jimmy was such a mischievous kid. I mean, Francie taught him in RE. He'd be under the chair. He'd be bothering people. He was a little pill.
And look at him now.
I know. I love him.
With his mother to church.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, they grow up. They're nice. These young men are amazing.
Yeah, so we're going to have another young man. Marcus's kid is going to be another boy.
All right. Wow.
They might name him Robin. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Would you please rise again in body or spirit, and let us sing together a song that is based on words that were spoken by the activist Ella Baker. She said, "Give light, and people will find a way." So we did sing this a couple of weeks ago, and it's pretty easy. It's a zipper song, so there'll be other verses that come in with the same melody. So I'll sing it through. You sing with me, but I'm going to have them turn my microphone after the first verse. Give light, people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe.
Today being Mother's Day, and the first Mother's Day since my mom died, you might think I would want to talk about her, or how it feels to be without her, or what she meant to me. But I don't want to talk about those things. I don't want to talk about things, her house and belongings, the physical container of her life. My mother was pretty cavalier about belongings, so she easily let go of things. But I know she never meant to leave me with a mess. But here I am, picking up the pieces. I don't want to talk about deciding what to do with what she once valued. I don't want to talk about deciding where to take every single thing she once owned. I don't want to talk about how much dust can accumulate behind furniture that hasn't been moved in decades. I don't want to talk about how keeping all that tangible proof of her existence seemed so important to me at first, but ultimately feels meaningless. About how all those things are dispersed to new homes, to Goodwill, to be recycled, or to the trash bin, the less they seem to hold her anymore. I don't want to talk about how that container, her life, her house, her things, are scattered outward to become part of something new, and how that gives me hope. So no, I don't want to talk about my mother today. I want to talk about God, which is to say, about everything falling apart, and that being okay. You see, I always thought of the embodied concept of the Judeo-Christian God as a being who doesn't make mistakes, knows all, sees all. You know the type. But according to the Kabbalah tradition of Judaism, it turns out there was a time when God kind of messed up, didn't get it right. Now, the mistake was done with good intent for humans. It was done in order to give us free will. You see, at some point it became clear that the light coming from God was so strong that no one in their presence could see or know anything else. In the presence of that infinite brightness, the total fabulousness of God, no human was ever going to be able to speak their own mind. No human could stand up against that kind of brilliance, and so everyone just fell in line. So God decided to take the light and bury it, literally bury it in vessels in the ground, to give people a chance to find out who they were. But, and who knew, apparently not God, that kind of light is so strong that containers cannot hold it. And so those vessels shattered and scattered shards of light all over the place, all over creation. Here was God thinking, I'm going to do a good turn for these creatures, and suddenly there was a mess all over, kind of like cracking open a hard-boiled egg, which turns out to be raw. No getting the egg back in the shell, and you just have to deal with the mess you've made, with the brokenness and the disintegration. I bet that got God's attention. And then there were those humans, now running about with free will, able to choose to do good or evil. So what happened? There are many versions of this story. You may know it differently, but in all of the versions, the shattering of the vessels was unintentional, and picking up the pieces was the work of humans. So humans started picking up the shards of scattered light and piecing them together. This is known in the Jewish tradition as tikkun olam, healing the world, putting the pieces together. And it doesn't mean putting them back the way things were. It's not about stasis, but about growth and regeneration, moving forward together to mend the world, to create more love, to take endings and make beginnings from them. The concept honors the cycle of life and death and rebirth into a new form of disintegration as part of life. God's mistake brought us meaning and hope. So that's what I wanted to talk about. This infallible being who, it turns out, is not infallible, not in total control, but who gives our life meaning, who shows us that new life comes out of brokenness and loss. Okay, maybe I am talking about my mother. Maybe I am talking about my mother.
Good morning. When I volunteered to read a poem today, I promised Reverend Laurel that the introduction would be very short, so it's going to be short. My daughter, Laurel, is 21. The short version, for those who ask, she graduated high school, she works, she drives, she votes. I became a mother through adoption, and I met in this church several other mothers and got a lot of support, including those who became moms of kids who had been in foster care. The RE program was fabulous. Every activity had childcare available, and thank you. Laurel stayed home from this trip to work. She works with dogs. Yesterday, I took Bart to San Jose to see some of her other mothers. The woman she called Grandma, who took care of her in her home before I did, and Uncle Ed, and then Rita Moore, her biological mom, and her oldest sister, Bianca. The middle sister, Genesis, lives with us in my home. Her brother, Elijah, was visiting his girlfriend's mother and seeing his mom tomorrow. I honor all of them. As I mentioned, the dogs, I mother cats, I mother many cats, so let's honor pet parents. And mothers of our inner child. This poem's dedicated to everyone who has nurtured, including gardens. Buena suerte. Early morning, before heading to the airport, I bike to the community center, where my neighbor has just finished rototilling my plot to plant some seeds before a trip. When I used to volunteer at the neighborhood bilingual daycare center, I would gather groups of 4-year-olds para sembrar las semillas, to sow the seeds. We followed these steps for each row. Plantar, plant. Cubrir, cover. Acariciar, pat the ground. And I added to say, buena suerte, good luck to each seed. Then followed a frenzy of watering with the regaderas. When I returned from the trip, tiny green baby leaves of arugula, kale, beets, tender, delicate carrots are starting to show. Like the angels who whisper, grow, grow, to every blade of grass. With all she had, as best she could, someone did this for me. Thank you.
Good morning. May we all be open to receiving mothering whenever and however it appears in our lives. And may we be open to letting mothering move through us to others as often as possible. This is to mother you, to comfort you and get you through. Through when your nights are lonely, through when your dreams are only blue. This is to mother you. This is to be with you, to hold you and to kiss you too. For when you need me, I will do what your own mother didn't do, which is to mother you. All the pain that you have known, all the violence in your soul, all the wrong things you have done, I will take from you when I come. All mistakes made in distress, all of your unhappiness, I will take away with my kiss, yes, I will give you tenderness. For child, I am so glad I found you, although my arms have always been around you. Sweet bird, although you did not see me, I saw you. I'm here to mother you, to comfort you and get you through. Through when your nights are lonely, through when your dreams are only blue. This is to mother you.
That's right, your sister and brother, right? Thanks, Susan. So I think all of us need a little tenderness, someone to mother us and to comfort us when we're lonely or sad. And we also need someone to share our joys with us, our joys when you get a new dog or a new baby, or you move to a new place, you get good news about your health. So that's why we take time each Sunday to share our joys and sorrows. Together we are what we call weaving a tapestry of love we call community. So let's take a moment to turn around and acknowledge those of us who are with us virtually. I know the light is bright, but hi everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. We know that you're here in spirit. And in a moment I'll ring the singing bowl, and those of you who are here in the sanctuary are welcome to say out loud, to call out loud the names of those who you wish to remember, to celebrate, to mourn, to ask for help in the embrace of this community. And those of you who are joining us on Zoom, I have the chat Dick Bailey already said, lovely poem, Sarah. So that's what I mean, you're with us. And so if you have things that you'd like me to read out loud, please put them in the chat and I'll read them. So this is an embracing meditation. We also have a Joys and Sorrows book that's in the narthex that you're welcome to write in when you come. And today there was a request for prayers for Tim O'Connor, Sedona, and Kamara. And in the chat we have someone saying hello, that they are new. And Patsy Wood is grateful for this community. And our visitor, it's been lovely so far. And a welcome to Justin, who's visiting with us for the first time. Hi, Justin. So for all that has been spoken, and I know that there are things perhaps too tender to speak out loud right now, so for all that is held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts as well, let us say together, we hold them in our care. And Ronnie Gale and Penny Peak just celebrated their 32nd wedding anniversary. All right, Penny and Ronnie, well done. So please join me in a moment of prayer or silent meditation. Divine spark and spirit of life and love, great mystery known by many names and beyond all naming. We may not know who or what we're praying to, and yet we sense that our lives are part of a larger life, connected with everyone and everything in one ever-changing, pulsing, interdependent web that nurtures and sustains our lives and that nurtures and sustains life itself. We are all connected with something sacred that calls us and all life to greater wholeness and harmony. We give thanks for the gift of this day, for our breath that keeps us alive, for the beauty and wonder and mystery of life and death, for our friends and families, and those who we haven't even met yet, we give thanks. And for the love and support we give and receive in this beloved community that can help us know in our bones that we are not alone. And now let's enter into a moment of silence and breathe together. Amen and blessed be.
Good morning. My name is Don Schumacher. I've been a member of this church for over 40 years. And today in this room, there are people who were here when I got here. Welcome back, Sandy and Rita and Adam Purcell. Good to see you here. At some time in the 1980s, Carrie Parker, Chuck Rosine, Nancy Henderson and I, and some others, came together and started singing a cappella harmony music together. As I recall, we started around Bev Smirha's dining room table. At some point in the distant past, Reverend Laurel led Sunday service for the very first time in this room. For that Sunday, she asked the four of us to sing this piece of music, and we're back. Singing Bobby McFerrin's 23rd Psalm, who he wrote and dedicated to his mother. That would help.
The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul, she rights my wrongs. She leads me in a path of good things and fills my heart with song. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely, goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our mother and daughter and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
My cup overflows with gratitude. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. This morning I want to share with you one of the reasons why Mother's Day is so special to me. It was on Mother's Day in 2011 when a small congregation in Loveland, Colorado, the Namaqua Unitarian Universalist congregation, voted to call me as their minister. It was actually here in this Oakland congregation where I experienced my call to ministry and decided to go to seminary and become a UU minister. And so being called to this ministry was like a dream come true for me. At the time, the Namaqua congregation was only 10 years old. They still met in a local high school. And that Mother's Day morning in Loveland, my partner Francie was with me, but our two sons, Marcus and David, were still here in the Bay Area where we lived. And to be honest, I was a little bit nervous because it felt like an audition with very big consequences. I didn't know whether they'd like my sermon, would they like the music that I chose. I was kind of glad because in addition to my preaching, they had decided that they would do a child dedication that day for 7 children. And the interim minister, Reverend Todd Strickland, and I would lead it. And the reason it made me happy is this is one of my favorite UU rituals, is when the congregation dedicates itself to the nurture of our children and their families. And the reason I believed in this is because I did raise my sons here. And it's true that you all are part of the village that raised our family. And people like Jimmy, who's here. Francie and I arrived early to that auditorium. And when Reverend Todd walked in, he was carrying this huge bouquet of beautiful flowers. And I was so surprised when he brought them up to me. And I thought, now that is a very classy welcome. And also I thought, if this is a congratulations, it's a little bit early because the congregation wasn't going to vote until after the service. So I was there with the bouquet of flowers, and I took the card out and opened it. Oh my God. It was actually a bouquet for me and for Francie, and it had been sent as a Mother's Day greeting from our two sons in California. And I was so touched that they had gone to the trouble to figure out how to send a bouquet of flowers to the interim minister in Loveland, Colorado, to bring them to me and to Francie. So you know what I did is I burst into tears. And there was a woman who I hadn't even met yet. She was the mother of 2 of the children that were going to be dedicated that day. And even though she didn't know me, she was a mother extraordinaire and came up and wrapped me in her arms as I wept. I have to say that since that time, I just heard from her a month ago, and one of her sons was recently killed in an automobile accident. And so when I wrote to her, I said, I still remember, her name is Laurel, when you wrapped your arms around me when I was crying. Please imagine that my arms are wrapped around you to send you comfort. Well, in my sermon that morning, as I did actually with you here in my first sermon here back in 2023, I introduced the concept of wabi-sabi. So wabi-sabi is a Japanese aesthetic that sees beauty in things that are homemade and imperfect, that are simple. Rather than objects that were manufactured perfect every time, a bowl or a cup that's not quite perfect is actually more beautiful. And something else that I liked is wabi-sabi sees things that are old as beautiful. So I confessed to that congregation that I was old and that I was imperfect, and that if they called me, I knew that I would disappoint them, I knew that they would disappoint me, but that if they did decide that they wanted me to be their minister, that I would bring my old imperfect self and I would do the very best that I could, and that together we would have a partnership, that we would all be in service of our mission in a shared ministry. So after the service, Francie and I had to leave so that they could have their meeting and vote. So we drove to a nearby Starbucks to drink some coffee and to wait for the call. And so pretty soon, I got a call from Dan O'Brien, who was a member of the search committee and had also been raised Catholic. He said, "Look outside." I said, "Why? What?" He said, "If you look outside, you'll see that the smoke is white." And he said it was unanimous. So joy was just leaping in my heart. And Dan was a total character, and I adored him. So after the service, or after that good news, it was on Mother's Day 14 years ago now, I drove our rental car from Starbucks back to the parking lot, and there was this group of people gathered, all eager to celebrate. We had paper cups with sparkling apple cider in it. We sang together, "Let It Be a Dance We Do." And that began what turned out to be some of the most wonderful years of my life. I served there for 11 years. After my 10th year, I told them that my next year would be my last year. And so in June of 2022, I retired and moved back here to the Bay Area to be reunited with my family and with my longtime friends. But as my family and friends well knew, I still had a lot of energy and interest and passion in UU ministry. And so I was so thrilled when this congregation was looking for a contract minister. So my relationship with you as a contract minister is actually different from a called minister, because you didn't vote to call me. It was the Board of Trustees who hired me. So I was hired as a half-time minister last year, 2023-24. We renewed our contract, so now I'm a half-time minister for this church year, which will end in June. And the hope is that in June, we will renew our relationship with another contract, this time actually for 3/4 time. So that is really what I am hoping. And I will tell you, it's not really a secret, but I did tell the board that I would stay up to another 3 years while the congregation gets organized, grows, earns some money, and can get ready to figure out what your next step will be. I really love what I'm doing here. You know, so some of you may know that I did a series this year on a book called The 5 Invitations, Discovering What Death Can Teach Us About Living Fully by Frank Ostaseski, who's the one who co-founded the Zen Hospice Center in San Francisco. So we've already done the first 4 invitations. The 5th one is called Cultivate Don't Know Mind. So a don't know mind is characterized by things like curiosity and surprise and wonder. It is open and receptive, and it is ready to meet whatever shows up. When worship associate Sarah and I met and we were talking about this service, and we both thought that actually a don't know mind is a great quality to bring to parenting. Because when a child comes into our lives, we find ourselves at what might be called the edge of the unknown. This new relationship that we are growing with our child is unique. It's unlike anything that we have ever done before. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could bring to that a don't know mind? The Buddhists call it a beginner's mind. And Zen Master Suzuki Roshi taught that in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, while in the expert's mind, there are only a few. So when we parent, we're not experts. Let's come with a beginner's mind. And if only we could bring this don't know mind not just to our relationship with children, but in all of our relationships. And in this book, on that chapter, Frank told a story about a woman, Jillian, who brought her mother, who had Alzheimer's, to live with her. And one day, Jillian walked into the living room and she found all of her beloved books just scattered all over the floor. And her mother said, "I'm tired of all these dusty old books. I'm going to give them to my dentist." But Jillian was so angry, and she actually scolded the attendant. And she said, "Why did you let this happen?" And the attendant said, "Ma'am, today I pick the books up. Tomorrow I'll put them back. And I figure if this gives a sense of control to a woman who has lost so much, then it's okay with me. It doesn't matter so much. I just like being with her." And so Jillian suddenly recognized her need to be in control. And this gave rise in her to a compassion for her mother's experience of helplessness. And so the daughter sat down on the living room carpet and enjoyed spending time with her mother that afternoon, just right there in the middle of the mess. And sure enough, the next day the books were back, and the mother unpacked them again. And she sat down again with her daughter and spent time. So that reminds me of the open mind, of being open and receptive and ready to meet whatever shows up. The best-selling author Anne Lamott actually reviewed this book. She said, "I love this book. I love its gentle, radical, charming, wild, and comforting truths about how to live and die and be. It may well be the most important book you read this year." Well, did you know that Anne Lamott hates Mother's Day? She hates the way that the holiday makes all non-mothers, the daughters of dead mothers, and the mothers of dead or severely damaged children, feel the deepest kind of grief and failure. The non-mothers must sit in their churches, temples, mosques, and pretend to feel good about the day when they are excluded from a holiday that benefits no one but Hallmark and Seas. Lamott gripes that Mother's Day feels incomplete and imprecise because the main thing that ever helped mothers was other people mothering them. A chain of mothering that keeps the whole shebang afloat. I think Anne Lamott has a good point. As Susan sang so beautifully earlier, there's actually a more complicated reality behind the sweet sentiments of Hallmark cards. Because the truth is that some of us had mothers who did not mother us and who did not see us. Some of the lyrics from that tender song, "When you need me, I will do what your own mother didn't do, which is to mother you." In a way, I think that this is what we do here with our embracing meditation, where we share our joys and sorrows, and our child dedication ceremonies. Next week, we'll have an ingathering of new members. In simple acts of kindness, we give someone a ride, we make a meal for them, or maybe when we give a smile or a hug to someone during coffee hour, or when we greet them when they come in. You know, when we say together, we hold them in our care. We hold one another in our care. So the chain of mothering that we are creating is what we need to keep the whole shebang afloat. So let me be clear, like Sarah was, about what I mean by mothering. As she said, it's not based on biology or gender. To mother is to care for, to love, to nurture, and to let fly when the time comes. Be it a child, an idea, or a church, we are all mothers. But no matter the gender identity of the person who provides nurturing, there's a deeply embedded archetype of a loving maternal figure You know, maybe it's mythical or metaphorical, but it represents something essential, something that I think all of us long for. So think for a minute about the many terms that use mother. There's Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Mother Land, Mother Tongue, Mother's Milk, Mother's Day. So and have you ever heard this phrase, a face only a mother could love? And so what this means is that maternal love symbolizes the commitment to love someone no matter what. Unconditional love. And in fact, that reminds me of some lyrics from the 23rd Psalm that Bobby McFerrin wrote for his mother, and thank you again for singing. There's one phrase that says, "Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand." I'd like to end by telling you a tradition that we had in that congregation I served in Colorado. Every Mother's Day, after that Mother's Day in 2011, a group of us would go to a busy street corner, and what we would do is read aloud the Mother's Day Proclamation that was written in 1870 by an abolitionist Unitarian woman named Julia Ward Howe. And I think Julia Ward Howe, if you've ever heard of her, is also the one who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And Howe's proclamation is a fierce and passionate call for peace. One of the stanzas says, "From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm." So I hope that many of you will join me after the service. What I'm going to do is my benediction. I'll bring my guitar, and then we'll process out onto our courtyard and be outdoors, loud and proud. Savannah has agreed that she will read the Mother's Day Proclamation. We'll sing once more, give light, and people will find the way, and then we'll go in and have coffee hour. So perhaps this call for peace, this call to give light, is like what Sarah talked about in her reflection, that we can give light by picking up the scattered shards of light and reconnecting the pieces in a new way, healing the world, tikkun olam, creating more love. So give light, teach peace, give love, plant seeds, give joy. And I think of the words in your poem, Barbara. Listen to the angels in the garden whispering, grow, grow, grow. May it be so.
Here at First Unitarian, we sometimes call ourselves the Church of the Open Mind, which can be interpreted to mean that we are not rigid in our beliefs or thoughts and that we don't have a doctrine. But I think it's more. I think it's also about not having an answer, or maybe not needing an answer. I know that I come here some weeks when the parts stop fitting together with questions. I come with hope or grief. I come for company, or sometimes because I'm angry, or I might show up just by habit. Sometimes I couldn't say exactly why I come. And paradoxically, that is why I come. Because on Sunday mornings, I don't need to know. Here I get a reset, a rest. I know I will have at least this 1 hour in my week where I can just be present to the embrace of a loving community. And in that embrace, sometimes the pieces come together in a new way. Or not. Sometimes I leave with more questions than I came with, but that's good too. Because the state of not knowing is where change happens. I would say that we are not just the church of the open mind, but of the changeable mind. That Unitarian Universalism is about giving each of us the opportunity and the challenge to find our own truth, to figure out how the pieces fit for us, but to do it together with each other and always with love at the center. Our partner organization for the month of May, Oakland Promise, is also about change, about changing the trajectory of young lives with cradle to college and career preparation in the form of financial, advisory, and resource support for youth of all ages. Half of today's offering will go to Oakland Promise. Please give generously as the ushers come forward. And if this is your first time here, feel free to let the baskets pass you by. Your presence is gift enough.
Oh, do Lord, remember me. Yeah, that was great. So let's say the words of the offering together. The slide will come up in just a sec. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves and these our offerings. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. And let's do one more song, Rise in Body or Spirit, and join in singing Love Will Guide Us. Oh yeah, announcements. So go ahead and sit down. There will be coffee hour in Venti Hall after the service, after the Mother's Day proclamation. And the Justice Council is making orders for one of those gold t-shirts that says Side of Love and has the First Unitarian Church of Oakland on the back. And so if you'd like, you can drop by their table, check out the shirts, and if you want to order one, then they'll arrive. Thank you, Marilyn Schumacher, for organizing this. Marilyn, thank you. Also, two of our new members, Annette Casillas and Janelle Moon, are going to brainstorm in the Star King room for a new group, which will be about spirituality and possibly journaling about spirituality. So if you are interested, you can grab some food, and it's okay to eat in the Star King room, and you can join them and see what they might be cooking up with you. Also, the Earth Justice Associates are leading a neighborhood canvas to gauge the possibility of this church becoming a resiliency hub. And so meet Heather in the plaza both today and next week at noon, because they're looking for volunteers to actually survey the neighborhood to find out what their needs are during things like heat waves, flood, power outages, extreme smoke, whatever might come our way, and also to post some flyers around the neighborhood. And they like to say, if you can't walk that much, you can set up a chair and talk to passersby when they're going by our church on 14th Street. So Emily Stoper, thank you for doing the slides today. If any of you are new and want to find out more about the church, you can meet Emily down here in front of the pulpit. And she also has a 10-minute orientation as well as answering any questions that you might have. And then finally, as I've mentioned, I'm hoping that you're going to follow me out on the plaza, make our cry in the neighborhood for what we all long for, which is peace, sing a song again, and then go in and have some social time with coffee hour. So now, Sarah, let's go ahead and extinguish the chalice.
The time has come to extinguish the chalice, to cover the light, to bury the light. But as we know, the light of love cannot be contained. May we find its pieces and shards everywhere we go and put them to good use, lighting the world.
Now if you'll stand again and look across the aisle. If you feel like it, you could smile at one of the folks on the other side, part of this community. And I believe the song is correct, that we just sang, that we can change the world with our love. And so let us give light, teach peace, give love, give joy, and sing out. So I'm going to go out that door, and I hope I'm not going to be alone. And maybe this will become a Mother's Day tradition, because we have a commitment to be part of this neighborhood where our old building, built in 1890, is located. So I think I'll go ahead and play while we're going out there. So come on. And Savannah is going to bring the Mother's Day proclamation and say it loud and proud. Bring light, people will find a way. Bring